Welcome back. We are now joined by Silindile Buthelezi, a lecturer at the University of Cape Town at the Faculty of Law. Welcome, Silindile, and thank you for joining us. Please tell us more about yourself.
Okay, so my name is Silindile Buthelezi. I'm an attorney by profession, but now I'm in academia and I left practice to be a lecturer at UCT. A little bit about me, I grew up in a small town in KwaZulu-Natal called Mpangeni. I've always had a passion for law, especially since I used to love debating in school, so that motivated me to pursue a career in law. I moved to Durban afterwards to pursue a law degree, and then I pursued a master's afterwards at the University of KwaZulu-Natal. Practiced a bit here in Cape Town, and then I pursued a second master's abroad very recently in the UK. Yes.
And tell us, why is it important for the young people to get educated?
Well, I mean, just speaking from my personal experience, having grown up in a small town, and those who have grown up in small towns or places outside the big cities can relate. It's, you grow up in an environment where you don't see a lot of people that are doing great things. And I remember in Mpangeni, you were considered to have made it if you moved to Durban, so that you were considered to just have made it big in life. But I remember that I had bigger dreams than that. And I knew to be able to get to where I wanted to be, education was the answer. And so many of the opportunities that have opened up to me, just like studying abroad and recently, being in the States for the Mandela Washington Fellowship, have actually all originated from education.
Yeah, while you're there at Mandela Washington Fellowship, can you tell us more about that? Because it has to do with young leadership of African.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the Mandela Washington Fellowship Program is a flagship of the Young African Leaders Initiative, which was started by former President Barack Obama back in 2014. So the essence of the fellowship is that they select leaders between the ages of 25 and 35 who are doing great things within their community.
And recognized.
And are recognized.
Okay.
So there is a rigorous application process, but they identify leaders in various tracks. So it's not just for people who have followed the formal education. So there will be the entrepreneurship track. So it's for young entrepreneurs who have started businesses in their communities and they're making big differences within their communities through the businesses. Then there is the public management track, which I was on, which is for people who are either in government or working in educational institutions like myself, who are actually also just want to make big changes in their communities. So that's...
Yeah, and you also mentioned that you studied overseas in the UK.
Yes.
And you left all our universities. What led you there?
So I wouldn't say I left the universities because I had already studied towards an LLB and then I pursued a master's at UKZN. So it was basically more about specialization. So my area of specialization is banking and finance, and there aren't that many, it's not really offered in universities, or at least up until recently, it wasn't offered in universities in South Africa. So I pursued it abroad to be able to get the skills and bring them back here in South Africa.
Yes, and bring them back.
Yes.
What is it that specific you say to yourself, I brought this back. This is the change that I want to see with our law system.
So my specialization within banking law is regulation. There's a lot going on in the banking and finance sector in South Africa. They are changing the legislation and the laws because they found that we are not that protected, as customers. So I wanted to bring the knowledge I learned from other systems where they try to figure out what works for them to see if it can be applied in the South African context so that we as financial customers can be better protected. So that's my contribution. And then I'm introducing banking law at UCT next year as a final year law elective.
That's amazing.
And so that is the beginning of my contribution towards, yes, the banking law.
I see you are such a motivated young woman. Who motivates you? Who keeps you like the way you are?
Ultimately, my biggest motivation is my faith in God.
Wow.
And that ultimately has gotten me through the biggest challenges, because it's not easy. It's not easy.
Yes.
Growing up, again, in a small town where mostly people don't understand your dreams. And it's very easy when you try to share the big dreams, people tend to shut it down, even if they're well-intentioned, right? So as a person who has had to fight for my dreams, I know that I held on a lot to my faith. And then obviously my parents are like my biggest cheerleaders. But yes, that is my biggest motivation is really my faith and my family and close friends.
Wow. And Thobeka, tell us more about Mrs. Commonwealth. Tell us about your journey. How did you end up there?
Mrs. Commonwealth South Africa, it's not necessarily a beauty pageant. It is a philanthropic pageant. It's for young women who wants to make difference in their communities. What attracted me mostly to it is my initiative of career guidance. As I have mentioned that I'm a founder of Career Guidance Institute. And now, as we know that wealth is an essential for every household, I mean every family and for our communities. So I got interested to that. I wanted to be personally empowered, and so that I can be able to produce more Thobekas out there, and be mindful that career guidance in South Africa is not yet a profession. So my dream behind everything is to bring those services into young, demotivated children in our community. And in addition, if you look at it, I'm not denying the fact that a government has responded to career guidance, but it has been incorporated into the curriculum, of which the teachers, and the ratio between the teachers and the students, it's big, and so their services are not effective.
We will just stop you there. We will come back. After the break, we're going to hear more from our guests. Don't go away.